Hi, Boise State fans. Welcome to a special episode of Bronco Talk. I'm Nick Wade with Bronco Nation Updates, and this is a production of BNU and Blue Elevation content built by Boise State fans for Boise State fans. Today, we are joined by a special guest who dominated the circle at Boise State softball from 2021 through 2024. This right-handed pitcher ranked 19th nationally coming out of Mission Viejo. She was a two-time All-Mountain West first teamer, Wilson NFCA National Pitcher of the Week for February 2024. She posted a career record of 53 and 36 with 41 complete games. This pitcher holds the school record of 173 single-season strikeouts, 551 career Ks, and 11 shutouts. Joining us is 2023 Mountain West Conference regular season champion and Boise State all-time great Taylor Caudill. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, how's post-graduation life treating you?
Pretty good. I'm in the land of kangaroos and Vegemite. I've been in Australia since October of last year, playing softball. So it's been pretty great. I'm enjoying my time and I'm enjoying playing down here.
Awesome. So from your bio, you were recruited out of Mission Viejo. Can you tell us about the process of what attracted you to Boise State and putting up some really big numbers at the school?
Yeah, of course. I was recruited by Coach Maggs and Coach Rich and all of them. So I wasn't under Schultz's coaching when I was recruited. They came up to me after a game in Colorado, I believe, and they asked if I'd be interested in visiting the campus. And I said, sure, why not? You know, you've got a certain amount of official visits you can take. So if they're going to pay for me to come, I might as well go see it. I got here and they knew that I liked food. So they had found all the best restaurants to take me to while I was here, on top of all the great things that Boise had to offer. So not only did I fall in love with all the places that I ate at, I fell in love with the city itself and with the team and with the coaches. So it was ultimately a really easy decision to commit to Boise and to go there. So I'm very happy with what I decided to do and with my time at Boise State.
I can appreciate liking food. I love food too. So
Yeah.
Boise's got some good eats around here. So what were some of your favorite moments and who were some of the players that made an impact on you during your career at Boise State?
I'd say the player that had the biggest impact was probably Serena Hutchinson. She was my catcher for the first 3 years that I was at Boise, and to have somebody of that caliber and that leadership as my catcher and behind the plate whenever I was pitching really helped me come into my own as a pitcher and to really grow my confidence and grow kind of who I would be in the circle. And she, if you know Hutch, you know she's the sweetest person in the world, and she is your number one supporter on and off the field. And to have that type of person in your corner just made it so much easier to pitch freely and to pitch in games where maybe the situations were a little bit more pressure focused. So I'd say Hutch for sure has made the biggest impact on who I am as a person and who I am as a pitcher. I would say my favorite memories or activities that we had was obviously winning in 2023 was pretty cool. Even though I wasn't in the circle in the game that we've officially won, it was very cool to get to hold the trophy and to get to celebrate with the girls that were on that team that year and that had worked so hard to get there. Like we had worked our butts off to get that win. And that was a pretty surreal feeling to get. And then also, I think when I passed that 500 strikeouts was very cool. I remember it was at San Diego State, I'm pretty sure. And I came off the field and I went to Coach Allie and I said, I need that ball. Like that ball is, I need that. That is, I want that right now. And we had to try to sneak it off the field. And that was pretty fun to do. So, yeah, I'd say those are probably the two big ones that stick in my mind as far as like the most heartfelt and warming memories from Boise.
Do you still have that ball?
I do. It's in my room, and I wrote on it 500 strikeouts SDSU 2024. So, yeah, it's going to be in my little case on my nightstand for as long as I can remember.
You deserve it. That should be front and center for sure. Speaking of SDSU, as you know, we talked about this before. Boise State has already began conference play. Who would you say is the team's main rival? Maybe like when you were playing, and maybe even today, like you're only a year, you're not even a year out of away from softball from Boise State, but and what types of things got you pumped up for these big conference matchups?
I would definitely say San Diego State is our biggest conference rival, especially when I was there. I mean, those were usually our most heated games. And if it was at Boise, the crowd was always out because they knew it was going to be a very good game against two very competitive teams. So San Diego State's definitely one of our biggest rivals. This year, I'd say it's probably still SDSU. I'd probably throw Nevada up in there or Fresno because those two are usually the ones that we always would prep extra for, and we would know kind of that they were the team that, if anything, was going to give us a little bit of an extra challenge than normal. So I'd say those might be the biggest rivals this year. I'm very excited for the Boise San Diego State series. Like, I think that's going to be a good one. I'm pretty sure it's at San Diego this year. I think so. Or it might be a home series. I'm not sure, but regardless, that's going to bring out crowds, whether it's at San Diego or Boise. So that's going to be a really exciting game. As far as what got me ready for those games, I think just the energy behind the fact that it was a rival series just pumped you up and made you want to perform better and made you want to be the one that would get the win or get the hit, get the strikeout. And we prepare a lot during practices before series and before any games, really. So we would go through all the lineups. Even Coach Allie and I would sit down and talk through all the batters. So a lot more prep probably goes into those big series like that. But yeah, it's just the energy. The energy is another level when you're playing a team that you don't particularly get along with.
Mm-hmm.
So the rivalry adds a whole nother aspect to it for sure.
And I can say that I've been at a few of those San Diego State games, and their fans were not happy with me because I was with the best of our fan base,
Right.
giving you guys support, and they're competitive too. So
Yeah.
especially that last game we had in the Mountain West tournament championship. I was, as a fan, I was giving it my 100%, and they did not like that at all. I was on that side of the field too, on the third base line, in amongst them. So I get
yeah,
it.
you'd be surrounded by red and black if you were on
Oh
that
yes,
side.
I was. Yeah, it's just and then also I just from what I've seen from a fan's perspective, I've seen those knockdown drag out fights with the Bulldogs, and also especially with Nevada, they're very scrappy. Just unfortunate we got those two to start out conference play this year. It'd be nice to kind of get some games out in front of us because I've seen you guys streak before too. So
yeah.
Starting out 1-5 is not ideal in conference play, but hopefully in Bronco fashion, we can get our legs under us and go streaking, and get
Yeah,
some of
of course.
those conference games
Yeah.
won.
Down, never out. That's what we all.
Blue Elevation isn't just a fundraiser for the basketball and football programs. Our nonprofit crowdsources for all Boise State sports. Your NIL contributions, end-of-year gifts, in-kind donations, and your subscriptions go to retaining players, coaches, and bringing in recruits of all sports. We are set up to deliver your gift to the specific department of your choice. Our softball program is a top 3 department at Boise State, so we are crowdsourcing to equip Coach Schultz with the arsenal needed to dominate the conference, win the College World Series, and add to the purse my dream of constructing a softball stadium with blue turf and retractable roof so we can enjoy February games. If you would like to support softball, please go to our nonprofit blueelevation.org, become a member by giving any amount, and make sure to type softball in the comment line at checkout. Go Broncos! All right, and we're back. So I know that your visibility of the team has been limited so far. Being down under and almost a world away. What you've seen so far from the 25 team, what are your early impressions of this team?
Yeah, it's been a little hard to watch games with the big time difference. A lot of games have been played at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. my time. So haven't been very fortunate enough to watch the games live. I have watched back stuff that's been recorded, but my first impression is that this year our hitting is insane compared to last year. I mean, we had good production last year, but the hitting has really come out strong this season for the Broncos, and they've got high hit batting averages. They've got high run production. Their RBIs are through the roof. Like 1 through 9, you've got a really, really solid lineup, which is something that I know we've been striving for. So to see that happen has been pretty cool. And it's also pretty cool to see some people that maybe last year didn't have as many at-bats because seniors were in that position get at-bats this year. Like Megan Lake is dominating the batting outfield everywhere. Like she's like a little gremlin. She's running around the entire outfield, and I love it. And I love her, and she's a great person. So to see people like that, people like Petty get more opportunities and stuff like that is really, really, really cool to see. As far as the pitching staff goes, it looks pretty young this year. I mean, you've got Dowell, who's a sophomore. You've got majority freshman, and then BT, who's the only senior, I believe. So pretty young staff, but that has challenges and benefits. I mean, that means there's a lot of room for them to grow, and there's really only improvements from freshman year on. Like nobody's perfect their freshman year. But what I think is really cool is how they're doing more pitch by committee this year, and like a very much so using the whole pitching staff in games. Whereas previous years, it's been maybe 1 or 2 pitchers are kind of like the workhorses for the team, and they get the majority of the innings. Whereas this year, it's pretty split evenly, which I think is really good to see. And it's good to have that ability in that pitching staff to have that many people come in and out of games and to have different looks. So it's a different team than it was last year for sure. Like it is very different, but that's how the game goes. That's how it changes. So it's been very cool to watch.
Yeah, and I agree. I was actually talking to Abby Baumkrot during our Bronco Nation Live, and I mentioned to her the emergence of Megan Lake. She did spend some time behind Jay there and left. And you're right that they're not mashing like they have in previous years, but they are they're hitting for average. We got a young infield too. We got freshmen at first, second, and short, and
right.
Fortunately we do Max Max a masher, but then you have Quinn and Chloe who can really bat for average and push the runners, um, through the bases. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a whole different team than what Bronco Nation has been accustomed to.
Yeah.
But they are still, you still have Mackenzie Hanna still mashing, and she has a good shot at hitting that record, this year in her senior year. And then you also have Sid; she's still mashing it up. So you lose some matches, but they're getting some production in different ways. So
Mhm.
love to see a little different spice in the game. Um,
Yeah.
the the pitching staff is very young, but we do have experience with sophomore Abby Dow, who's 6-4 currently, and senior Brooke Thompson, who's currently 7-3. So let's jump right in. As a pitcher, so much of the game relies on the mental game and strategy. You spoke to that, what they're kind of doing now. So what's your approach when you step into the circle, especially in high pressure situations?
You definitely need to have a little bit of cockiness to yourself as a pitcher. Like you need to have that belief that you are better than the batter and you need to kind of walk around with your head high. The second that you let that thought come in that the batter's better than you or that like, oh, this is a tough situation, it's going to go downhill from there. So mental strength and mental toughness is really important as a pitcher. You're not going to get the calls you want behind the plate. Your defense might not make all the plays behind you. You're going to give up a home run. You're going to give up hits. Like you're going to get walks off of you. So all of that stuff is going to happen. It's statistically impossible for it not to. So you just have to take that with a grain of salt. Like you have to know that, okay, I've given up one home run out of this 90 pitches that I've thrown this game. That's like less than 1%, or it's 1% of your game has been a failure, right? So switching the way that you think about hits, about home runs, about walks and everything really is helpful for me, especially as a rise ball pitcher. You give up a lot of home runs, like it's inevitable. So you've got to switch your mindset of what your reaction is to that happening. And like you said, this is a young pitching staff. So they might have to go through some hardships first before that fully gets developed in their mental game. But it is something that when you get that down, it makes such a big difference in your game, like an insane difference. And I know Coach Schultz was a big proponent of why my mental game got better because he had me read Mental Gym or Mind Gym, which is a book all about the mental game and how to improve it. So get books like that, start reading, start learning, start growing. And you just kind of have to be tough and just let stuff bounce off of you. You can't absorb anything that happens.
So do you have to have like a short memory span too? Like,
Yeah, your memory has to be like a goldfish, really. I mean,
hmm.
you can remember all the good stuff, that's great, but the
Yeah.
second that anything bad happens, that just kind of has to be like a, oh well, it's done, it happened in the past, can't change it type of mentality for sure.
Well, that's a great mindset. Can you break down without giving a whole lot away to like maybe your opponents? Who knows? I don't know if they're going to watch Bronco talk, but um, can you break down like your pitching strategy? You did talk about like kind of, working your way through the game. Like, are there types of movement that you rely on in certain situations, or speed, or mixing things up? I mean, how does
Mhm.
that tie into those?
I definitely rely on my rise ball. It's my best pitch. So knowing that I can spot that in any part of the zone, low, high, in, out, is really helpful when it comes to pitch sequencing because you can build off of those pitches. So you can keep going up the ladder per se. When you get a swing and miss, you can go a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Um, that being said, keeping batters off balance is a huge part of pitching because batting is all about timing and pitching is disrupting timing. So being able to have that off speed that throws them off their game, or maybe your inside is a little harder than your outside, like little things that make it just a little bit different for them when they swing each time, makes it difficult for the batter to really get solid hits. Um, so I know when I was at Boise, me and Coach Allie were always talking about pitch sequencing and like how we can mix up our pitches so that the batter doesn't know what's coming, and pitching to our strengths rather than to the batter's weakness. Because if I can pitch my strengths, then I have a higher chance of getting the success that I want in that at bat. Um, so yeah, it really just depends on the type of pitcher you are, but it's very important that you do disrupt timing. That's why all the great pitchers have that good changeup, have that good off speed, something that throws off the batter from a mundane one speed the entire game type of thing.
That's interesting. So, if I remember correctly, in your senior season, weren't were you working on like the the that off speed pitch more than to try to sequence out a batter like like a um, because you do have a great arm to where you can overpower a batter, but maybe like a changeup. Am I remembering
Yeah.
that correctly? You worked
Yeah,
on that.
I've got a changeup too. My changeup is my second best pitch, so I'm fortunate enough to have a good up and then a good slow pitch. Uh, I was confident enough to use my changeup in any count. Like it did not matter if I was behind, ahead, even. A changeup could be thrown, which is good when it comes to keeping the batters like unexpected and like they weren't expecting a changeup on a 3-2 count, so why not throw it, you know? So yeah, I definitely have a changeup in the arsenal, and I love throwing it. It is my favorite pitch to throw. Even though my rise is my best, my changeup is my favorite. So yeah, that was something that probably got thrown a little bit more my senior year, but I would say it's been pretty even through the years as far as the split between rise, curve, and change. But rise is dominant for sure.
Mm-hmm. So did you find that like your pitch calling changed a lot from high school to college, and then like even if you want to go further, like into where you're at now in your game?
I'd say a little bit. I think when I got to college, it became a little bit more specialized pitching. Whereas when I was younger and in high school, I still had like drops and all of these weird other pitches, and I was throwing everything and trying to do so much. Whereas when I got to college, it was really just settled on to 3 pitches. That's all I had. Um, and when that became more of our focus, was being able to throw those 3 pitches extremely well anywhere we want, that changed the pitch calling, because obviously you can call more when I can throw an outside low rise and an outside high rise. So the pitch sequencing only changed as far as like what pitches were being called more. Um, Here, it's the catcher calling games and me, and then the catcher and I calling games. So there's no coach telling us what to throw or what the batter's like. It's purely our own research that we've done and our own film that we've watched. So um, it's a little bit more I don't know, communication driven, like heavily driven by us talking each inning. Like every single inning we come in and we talk, and we talk about the batters we face, the batters coming up, and we say, oh, I didn't like that pitch that was called, or where did that pitch miss? Because it's really just the catcher and I running the pitch calling and the pitching while we're here. So it's given us a little bit more freedom, and it's helped me grow my game for sure. So yeah.
We are cruising right along in 2025. Are you looking for a healthy change? Just breathe and let the Organized Experience help you embrace change. The Organized Experience team masters in the art of helping people find freedom through decluttering, organizing, and creating organizing systems. So let Stacy's team help you in 2025. Visit their website at theorganizedexperience.com.
And we are back. So, as we were talking about, very young team, and that's not only in the infield, but in the pitching staff. They're very young. In the rotation is talented freshman Olivia Bauer. She's posting a 5-2 record currently. Shannon Keegren is 3-1, and Julian Rose is 1-1. All freshmen. So let's rewind a little bit to your freshman season at Boise State. Coming in as a young pitcher, what was the biggest adjustment that you had to face?
Oh gosh, that was a long time ago. I think just the caliber of the hitters that you're facing increases exponentially when you get to college, because you thought you were good in travel ball in high school, but the best players at high school are the ones that are in college. So you're literally playing against the best of the best when you go to school, when you go to college. So that was probably the biggest change, was the fact that these batters are different breeds when you play Division I. And especially once Schultz came, like, our pre-conference schedule is packed usually. And like those SEC teams, Pac-12 teams, like those girls know how to swing and they know how to hit. So playing teams like that my freshman year was a little bit daunting. I will admit that my freshman year was not the best. I was nowhere near where I'm at now as far as my ability was. But I think that's just a testament of how much can change in 4 years and how much work has to go into improving. But freshman year is hard. You are not home for the first time. You are surrounded by brand new people that you've only met during visits. You are doing softball every single day with lift, practice, games, meetings, academic meetings, everything. So it's just like a whole nother level of softball that you didn't know really was there until you actually start to experience it. So freshman year's hard, and it really plays a toll on your mental game. And so as a freshman, you need to understand that, and you need to come in with that strong mindset of understanding, like, okay, I am a freshman. This is new to me. I'm learning. I can't let anything kind of put me down in this moment.
Yeah, and you got to start somewhere, right? So that 2021 season wasn't very good. It was 20. You guys were 20 and 25, but as a whole, everybody made a big jump, because you went. Then in your sophomore season, you guys went 40-10. So
yeah,
Coach
Schultz and them played a very big role.
Yeah, so there is a lot of growing. You can't always be like the Taylors with when you're pumping your fist. You progressed up to that. So, but were there moments there and early on, and this is basically for like the freshmen, especially going through like some of the the Big 12 teams and SEC teams. I remember you guys playing them. Was there any moments where you did doubt yourself, and how did that go?
There's definitely moments where stuff starts to crack and you kind of start to crumble a little bit. I'm fortunate enough to have a good support system when I was at Boise. And as I was getting into like my junior and senior years, I was really close with the coaches too. So they were constantly in a position to help me if I was starting to doubt myself. Like, they're a very objective viewpoint on my pitching, whereas I'm a very subjective viewpoint. Like, I see everything that's wrong with it, because that's just kind of how most athletes are. Like, you're really critical about your performances for the most part. So having people that can be that outside perspective of saying, like, no, like, that was a good game, you just need to do this, is a really good thing to have. And as a freshman, you need to find those people on your team that can be that kind of grounding factor for you. Because you are going to have games where you come off and you're just, I've had games where I've come off and I've gone to the bathroom and had a quick little crying session, then came back out. So it happens, but you need to have somebody there that can help you through it when it does happen. So yeah, a good support system is a must coming in.
And in speaking about that mental reset, like obviously you just mentioned it's important. So was there any specific coaches or teammates that played a big role in your growth in that area, and helping you get that mental reset?
Coach Schultz and Coach Alley obviously are like the biggest ones for sure. I spent every single second basically with Coach Alley in the bullpen, and as a pitcher, you become extremely close with your pitching coach. And so she's basically like a second mom to me, and having that relationship made it very easy to kind of have those moments where I needed to crumble a little bit and do it with somebody that I knew was going to support and not judge and kind of help build me back up. And then, like I said, Coach Schultz really helped me with Mind Gym and getting books and getting kind of like, I'm a very hard like academic head. Like, I love school and I like learning. So he knew that if I were to read books and stuff about it, it'd probably get into my brain quicker than if somebody were to just tell me what I need to do. And then probably Mackenzie Hanna. She's my best friend on the team. So she was always somebody that I could go to with that mental reset. She knew exactly what to say if my body language was starting to slip, and sometimes she'd just come over and she'd just pat my knee or something while I was sitting. And like, you just kind of need that calming presence every once in a while to keep yourself locked into a game. So yeah, I'd say for sure Coach Schultz and Coach Alley played a huge role. And then Mackenzie as my best friend, like, she's kind of forced to be my supporter.
So is a mental reset of a hitter, is that compatible to a mental reset for a pitcher?
I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, you're both trying to fix something that's results oriented. So your mental reset will just have to be changing your perspective on it. And like, yes, you might be in a hitting slump, but this is a game of failure. Like, if you get on 3 out of 10 times, that's considered great, but you failed 7 times. So yeah, I would say it's similar. I think that pitching is only different in the fact that you do so much more of it in a game, that you have so many more opportunities to succeed or fail. So the mental reset might be a little bit harder because just purely you're doing more during a game, like quantity wise. So other than that, yeah, I'd say they're the same or pretty similar.
So I'm imagining that since you guys had a great connection, you were able to be reciprocal with the same type of support for Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm. And as a pitcher, and we would watch film and I would understand swings, I could talk her through what I see in her swing purely because I understand it from a pitcher's perspective and like, this is what I'm seeing. So, and then obviously she's in the outfield, so she can get a good look at where a lot of my pitches are going. And she'd be like, oh, you just look like you're throwing like tense or something. So yeah, it definitely goes both ways for me and Ken's.
Awesome. I like connections like that where people can, you got each other's back, and especially having a pretty good hitter is one of your best friends. that's a pretty good tool in the bag.
Yeah.
So looking back at your journey, what kind of advice would you give our young pitchers on Team 25, or any aspiring player to play at the college level?
It's definitely a grind, so be ready for that. And the grind is necessary to get better. You're going to be sore, you're going to hurt, you're going to be pushed to new limits that you didn't even know you could do. Coach Allie is notorious for that. So be ready. And you need to understand that everything is being done to improve your game. And if you can take that and you can run with it, you're just going to get better and better and better. And then you also just need to start to believe in yourself more, right? So like I said before, you have to have a little bit of that ego in you and that cockiness to be a pitcher. Like you have to believe that you are better than everybody else that you are facing. Otherwise, they've already won in your head. So having that mindset and having that little bit of swagger in your step really makes a difference when you are pitching and when you're playing. And you're freshmen, you're young, you're babies. You have 3 more years after this. Take what you've done this season, learn from it, analyze the heck out of it, figure out what you need to do during off season next year to be better. And you just repeat that cycle until your career is ultimately done. And those are the best players, are the ones that look back, see what needs to be fixed, works on it, has another season, looks back, see what needs to be fixed. So just kind of having that continuous cycle of growth is really necessary for young pitchers.
That's awesome feedback. It reminds me of a saying that I like is embrace the suck, right? And you did talk about having that confidence in the circle is like it's key. So is there a drill that you would recommend a young pitcher to help build that confidence in the circle?
I think the only thing that can really build confidence is game time and pitching to batters, because you can do so much in a bullpen, but what really matters is what you do in games and what you do in those big pressure situations. A drill that Coach Allie would do with me is we'd put a net about halfway between the plate and the mound, and I'd have to throw through the hole in the net to work on my pitches and work on my movement. So doing stuff like that is really going to be helpful as far as getting your pitches to where they need to be and to be competitive, because a good pitcher is a pitcher that can move the ball through the zone, right? Like you have to get the batters to swing. And the only time they're going to swing is if it goes through the zone. So practice moving the ball through the zone. So that's a big drill that can help with your confidence, because if you can throw a ball through a hole that's like this big, you can pitch perfectly fine in a game.
Well, that sounds like a great way to build that muscle memory and the consistency. It's get your reps, right?
Yeah.
So, but also, like, how important is that mental toughness when developing as a pitcher? Like we've talked about like embracing the suck, but like how, like that experience, like at a percentage wise, like how much is, getting into your junior and senior year, like how much importance does that go in for a successful pitcher?
I firmly believe that the mental game is at least 90% of your game. Like by the time you get to your upperclassmen years, your physical abilities are pretty much set to where they need to be. And like you're going purely off of just what's natural and what your body remembers and muscle memory at that point. And your pitching can always get better, and that's always something that can happen, but your brain is what's going to take you to the next level. Like your mind is going to do some crazy tricks for you. So I would definitely say it's at least 90% of your game is mental as you get older, because like, am I getting better every day at pitching? Yeah. but my physical can only do so much if my mind's not supporting it. So really growing your mental game is going to be a big aspect of the sport and the game.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm a long distance runner, and like each year I get older, but my love of running stays. But that doesn't mean that I always perform that way. So a lot of it is mental, like getting up for the challenge. And yeah, so I agree. I think a lot of the things that we do in life, it's all about like that mental and emotional intelligence. Well, Taylor, this has been fantastic. Your insights, I think, are so valuable for young pitchers and fans of the game. But before we wrap up, you have a couple big games left in Down Under. But after that, what's next for you?
Yeah, we're in our grand finals here, so it would be our championships. My team has made it to the championship game this coming Saturday, which would be, I believe, like Friday, really, really, really late at night, so really early Saturday morning for you guys. So that's going to be really exciting. We've worked really hard all year to get to this game. After Australia, I'm going to Italy to keep playing. So I will be on a different team in Italy playing. So I'm traveling the world playing a sport that I love, so I couldn't be more happier. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going for me right now is softball, which is like a pretty good thing to say. You know, I could be doing so much worse than that. So, you know, I'm getting endless summer for like 3 years now, which is pretty great. So I'm not complaining one bit. But yep, our grand finals this Saturday. I think it's live streamed. So if you guys are awake at 2 a.m. and you're some night owls, I believe it's on Spacequake Sports on YouTube or Facebook, both of them. So if you want to watch some softball down under, there's that. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and I'm really happy.
And we will put that in the description so that you guys can enjoy Taylor in the finals down there. Something I ask all of our guests is, do you have a message for Bronco Nation and any encouragement for whoever's watching this show as we conclude our time together?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Bronco Nation. I think that you guys are part of the reason why Boise State is the way that it is because the supports and the fans and the outreach that we've created through stuff like Bronco Nation updates and through Blue Elevation and the BAA is allowing all these people to come and support Boise and grow our name. And people like Ashton Genty, who's a freak of nature and has done all this thing, but showed his loyalty to a school that showed their trust in him and their belief in him. Like that's what Boise State is. Boise State is the one that gets these players that may be considered underdogs or maybe are looked over by really big schools, but in reality, they're just as good. So having stuff like this that allows the support to be expressed and, you know, money is always great, but honestly, just word of mouth is even better to get sometimes because it allows that outreach to happen. So yeah, I think anything you do will help, whether it's sharing a link, donating, everything is appreciated immensely by the athletes at Boise State. Like I cannot stress enough how much we would talk about how fortunate we were to have such a good fan base and to have people supporting Boise State softball and Boise State athletics. So yeah, go watch softball, go support them, go watch basketball, go watch golf, volleyball, football, everything you can. Like it's really a great school to watch. So yeah, I love the Broncos. They're my home. So I'm very happy to be getting to talk about them and, you know, build up some support for them.
Well, that's awesome. And thank you so much for joining us, Taylor. We can't wait to see what's ahead of you. I hope you guys take this final this week, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. I've appreciated our time talking about Boise State softball. I love it. I love softball and I love Boise State. So no better way to spend my morning.
Well, that's it for this episode of Bronco Talk. Stay tuned for more great Boise State content. We'll see you next time. Go Broncos.